All right, so today we went through the process of watching and analyzing the opening price on ES. And I mentioned on Twitter that I was interested in this old high back here. That's largely linked to the fact that we had a gap when the session started again last night, my local time, about 6 o'clock. We gapped down and then it just drifted lower. Had a small little rally in here. SMT divergence. I'll show you that in a moment, but in here we have the market creating relative equal highs. It broke down. I gave you the fair value gap live this morning on the live stream. Walk you through the whole business of running out the sell side and the opening gap on Sunday, which is over here. So I don't have that on my chart, so let me just drop that on real quick. If you don't mind me working as I go, I don't want to be doing any more edits than I need to, and I don't think you mind me doing it in front of you so we can see what I'm showing you. All right, so the market trades down below the sell side here and into the Sunday gap opening. We traded through it all the way down to another fair value gap. Hits that there, comes back up, runs back up into the opening range, drops once more into an order block, rallies, takes a short-term high, retraces back down into another order block. Let me stretch this out a little bit so you can see a little bit better. It's not as cluttered as it now. All right, and we worked off this order block, which you'll see when we get into the 5-minute chart, it gets a little bit cleaner here and here, and rallying up into the level I was mentioning on Twitter this morning. So I'm going to drop into a 5-minute chart. Okay, and there's the fair value gap I gave you live. Beautiful delivery. Look at the low on this candle right here. Right up here, look at this value right here. 39.26 3/4. This candle trades right back up to what value? The high now on this candle. 39.26 3/4. Folks, that is absolutely perfect. That's perfect price delivery. So when we hit this fair value gap, it broke lower and then once more returned back up into it. Well, not into the fair value gap, but up into that range here, and then broke. And I gave you a small little imbalance here we'll look at in a moment. We traded down into the Sunday gap. I mentioned the lower end would be this time the level to watch. And so if we went down below it, come back up, it'll act as what? Resistance. It does so here. We'll look at it in lower time frame. Drops lower, once more hits the old fair value gap I showed you before we dropped into the 5-minute. A little bit of consolidation ahead of lunch. Typical retracement during the lunch hour, all the way back up to the opening range. Broke lower, small little swing low broken, back to a rebalance. And also look what it's doing here, folks. It's going back up into that old gap opening on Sunday. Trades up into it, acts as what? Resistance. Trades lower, down into an order block. Big down candle right there. That's the one over here. Hits it, starts to accumulate, rallies up, back above what level? Here, I'm going to make Sunday's levels really, really obvious. And it's going to be obnoxious, actually. So I want you to see what was going on in my mind as I'm watching price. Okay. Price goes above the opening gap, or gap opening rather, from Sunday, then trades back down into it. See that? Hits it, rallies, falls short of what? The relative equal highs over here. Retraces. Where does it trade down into? That gap opening again. Now we're at the discount low. It rallies, comes back down in, fair value gap, trades into that. This is a 15-minute order block. Rallies, and what's it go to? the 39.52 and 3/4 level. Hammers it. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. In the afternoon, it became a lot better. In the morning, it was sloppy. So when I say things are sloppy, it just means that it's not really giving you a whole lot to work with. I mean, you have very few options, and you have to know exactly what you're looking for, i.e. what I was giving you this morning. And this area here, watch how it should stay open, and it stayed open, basically the whole thing. This is sloppy. Even though it's a nice delivery, it's not giving you all of the mechanics of entry, like this one here, this one here, this one here, and then run to the objective I was drawing your attention to today. So the morning, while yet it was still potentially profitable, and I was able to call it for you live, that really wasn't my choice session, because it was just, I didn't have a real clear view on what I wanted to see. But I taught you today with this lesson, using that Sunday gap opening and just extending it through the entire week. Sometimes the week will just run away from it and won't really come back to it. But in weeks where there's consolidation, like FOMC, we have that to deal with for this calendar week. And those types of events create these choppy range-bound markets that don't give you the real clean takeoff one-way directional move. You have to know how to trade in these environments. Okay, so obviously my tools do very well in this environment. I want to go back up to the 15-minute time frame and talk a little bit about this area up here. That gap, I think that is where we're going to be drawing up into, because this is, in my opinion, not going to be left open. Okay, so they're going to want to trade back up into that. There's missing data here. Okay, there's an actual gap. So it'll want to draw up into that. And to what price level? I'd like the low on that candle. Okay, so if it was going to be a perfect delivery, it would go right to that candle's low. But I'm not expecting perfect. I'm not suggesting that at all. But if we go above this area, that means we're probably going to go into a deeper run on the daily. And let's take everything off here. So we're likely to run this high here, and we have an order block there. So the low at 4,000. So that's something to consider and watch going forward for the rest of the week. I may be wrong. You know, it's just something for you to go into your charts and start studying and looking for.